On the consumption front, car sales is one way to track consumption, and the sales of passenger vehicle segment witnessed its best performance during the fiscal, with volume of 38 lakh units sold in financial year 23, as Maruti Suzuki India, Hyundai, Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, Kia India registered record sales in the domestic market, mostly on the back of SUV demand. So there is a rising SUV demand there, but the demand for housing is also increasing pan-India. The housing sector has shown resilience. Overall growth is around 14.2% year on year during the quarter ending March, which is the quarter we just finished. We just let go of, said Tata bye-bye to about a couple of days ago. Now the growth was projected, of course, at 14.2. There is an increase in supply as well to the tune of about 1.9%. So coming to the consumption, domestic consumption part, Rakesh, I am also told Sandeep Ghosh is joining us at this point in time. I want to come to you first, Rakesh. There is an uptick in consumption as well. What do you make of these numbers here?
Yeah, in my opening remarks, I had mentioned those 5 Ps. One of those was public consumption. So this has been a key driver of India growth story. Last fiscal post-COVID, is a landscape. But there is a limitation to it. Let me look at the good part first. The car numbers, the housing numbers, the mobile phone penetration numbers, the digital data consumption numbers, all those are pointing to a very, very large consumer base asking for ye dil mange more. Okay. But, we must also be little, circumspect and understand that this was quite a bit of it expanded consumer base is because of pent-up demand due to COVID. So are we in a position to sustain this? There is a debate going on in that. I think we can ask Sandeep what's his view on whether we'll be able to sustain this level of forensic buying across product categories. And also, there is a bit of a question mark on rural economy, rural consumption.
Absolutely. I wanted to come to that, during this course of discussion and to prepare for this discussion, we were also looking, our team was also looking at number as far as FMCG is concerned. And we've seen that domestic demand hasn't really risen. And who are the people who buy SUVs, who buy premium property? They are HNIs or people who are in the upper middle class band. So while the consumption is riding, and this is a question for you, Sandeep, while the consumption is riding, is it particularly focused at rich people, people who fall within the HNI, UHNIs and the upper middle class band, or is it pan-India? What are you making of these numbers?
It was primarily that, Shweta, so far, but I was very encouraged to see the CMI data of last week when they say there was a surge in consumer sentiments in the week ending 26th, I think, and that's about 6.7%. And what's interesting there, they're beginning to, for the first time, see there is a surge in sentiment in the lower income groups and middle income groups. And I think that's most encouraging. The car data is very oft quoted by people, but I take that, as you said, I take it with a pinch of salt because it's really the top strata which is taking the car. And that's been one of the critiques, that when the economic recovery and everything happened, it's the richer people who have benefited, but not so for housing. Although, in housing, people saying low-cost housing demand is yet to pick up, but certainly the middle segment is picking up, and that's why you're seeing a real estate boom. So these are encouraging signs. But, ultimately, one of our biggest, the note of caution or rider there would be monsoons again. Rural demand, and they really are linked. And though people don't recognize, through the entire COVID period, we were seen through by a robust rural demand. Monsoons were good, but with that, the injection of money which happened through DBT, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, the free ration and other things, that sustained. So when you saw FMCG sailing through that period, it was that caused it. But the silver lining really is in the infrastructure sector. Government is relentless in pumping in money on infrastructure. You'll find an acceleration happening on the way to 2024, and many of the states going in also for elections at the end of 2023, early 2024. So like today, I think Fadnavis has announced a huge outlay for concrete roads in Maharashtra. Now, the percolating effect of that is high, you're going to see also impact of things like this again, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which will be a key focus in this period. These are the things which are going to drive growth. And there I am optimistic with the small rider, as I mentioned, of the monsoon, which none of us can predict, not even the, our weather experts. They can't really say, and even if the monsoon happens, the spatial distribution, the timing, and all that. Right now, the pre-monsoon showers, they say, have affected in some parts the rabi crop prospects. So those can happen. But overall, I think, we are far too critical of ourselves. Not only has India done better, but we have shown tremendous resilience, and bigger point is the agility which our policymakers, especially RBI, has shown. I think that has stood us in good stead, and I am quite optimistic there.
Do you buy this argument that quite a bit of this demand that is witnessed in growing car sales and housing sales as well, will it sustain? That's the question mark everybody is raising. And second, also on the public investment, the infrastructure massive spending, part of it has been announced in the budget, but the government would be, so to say, forced to make a politically correct statement and get into more and more sops for the voter. Do you see a balance? Do you see both these getting sustained over a period of time in terms of public spending on infrastructure projects? Second, also, how much is... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted. See, infrastructure, being in that business myself, I am seeing tremendous traction happening there. If you see in the cement sector, a lot of the companies which are operating in Gujarat have turned out excellent results because of the tremendous boom coming out of this bullet train and the expressway, the Western Corridor, which is happening there. And it's not just that particular thing, whatever happens around it, that is what gives the boost. Similarly, in other parts, there is infrastructure is definitely, there is a relentless push, and there is a lot of central monitoring which is happening over there. So that is there, definitely. Car sales, personally, difficult to predict, but I'm sometimes surprised by the kind of sales which are happening. Who are buying so many cars? But why should they be buying so many cars? That seems to be the trend. More people, the youngsters, are getting onto cars because of the finances being easily available. Where my worry is, Rakesh, you were talking of earlier on the exports front. See, we always look at exports from the central policies part of it, but our manufacturing exports to take off, the states must play in tandem. If the
Absolutely.
states don't get their act together, make ease of business better, if they are not investor friendly, if they're not able to, so all this China opportunity which we are talking about, those are the places where you miss the boat. And that's why you're seeing traction in defense, because that is, a lot of it is center-led. Services, to that extent, is not really constrained by the bureaucratic structure of the states, but manufacturing exports or manufacture per se, unless our states get into the act, giving up this whole political, whatever fisticuff they keep on having, getting distracted from the actual economic issues, I think there lies our concern.